Joining me in the kitchen to bring on spring is Chef Richard Hales. His award-winning Hales Black Brick restaurant serves up elevated Asian cuisine in Tampa, the hometown he returned to after a quarter of a century cooking away in New York, Miami, and Hong Kong, and here in Tampa.
So we're going to do something that they do in Asia that you don't see it too much in the United States. We're going to add this oil, and what I did with this oil, it's like a scallion oil, and this is a lot. This is not going to go into the final dish.
What's a scallion oil then?
What we do, so we have zero waste. We'll take just the stems, the roots, I'm sorry, of this green onion, and then we just let them simmer in whatever oil you want to simmer them in.
So you're just kind of just infusing the flavors and just bringing it in.
Out? All of that scallion.
Oh yeah, you do. You really do. You get that onion bite right there.
So that just adds another level into your dish. So
okay.
I can see it starting to ripple, so I think it's ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this about this height, and we're going to start to spin the oil, and then we're going to create these threads.
And by creating these threads, we're just literally just pouring in egg. That's all it is.
That's all it is. So what this does, and I like them nice and fluffy, and I think for the amount of rice for you and I, this is probably, you can tell me if you like more egg or less egg. What we're going to do is we're going to pour that just so we get some of that excess oil off, and while that drains, we're going to get our pan back up to heat, and now we're going to get the rice.
Okay.
So it's day-old rice, so if you have rice that's left over, this is a long-grain rice that is great. So what we do is we put the eggs back in. You want to kind of like, plus you can pat them a little bit, get some of that excess oil, but you want to put this back on. And I don't like to brown the eggs. Okay. So I like to get the rice in there right away. What happens here, if you use hot rice, you're going to get mush. Okay. Since we're starting with cold rice, see how it stays separated?
Absolutely.
And then even if you want to take it one step further, and this is kind of a secret, I can't believe I'm telling it on your show because I know everybody watches.
So it's not just us, it's all of you guys at home watching too right now.
I take my hands, when I separate the little clumps, I put a little oil on my hands.
So that way it doesn't stick?
And so it doesn't stick.
See?
Yeah.
Chef tip right here, folks, but that was just between all of us at home. Like, you can't tell anybody that one.
Mainly a little bit of salt, a little bit of white peppers, tons of white pepper in Chinese dishes, and a little bit of sugar. So it's just adding more layers of flavor. So you have scallion oil, you have your egg, you have a rice mixed with it, and you could add any fat that you want. If you want to add tallow, you want to add pork fat, you want to add anything you want to flavor it. And then we're adding a little bit of garlic, and now we're adding a little bit of spices. This is where we come in with the spring. So you have all these great spring vegetables, asparagus, the green beans, the green onions, the peas, the pea tips, and then a little cilantro and mint. So if you want to start with the scallions and the green beans and the asparagus, we can start mixing that in. So I'm mixing this in because these are more durable as far as like... Yeah, that's enough, I think. And then add some asparagus. So, I mean,
is this all raw?
This is all, the asparagus has been blanched in salt water, then shocked in ice. The green beans, we cooked in a little bit of the scallion oil and then shocked them also in ice so we can retain that nice green color. And we'll add some peas in there. So this is just, this is a catch-all too, so if you have...
This is dangerously healthy, okay? Yeah. This is colorful already. Right. I'm getting such a vibe already. I mean, and it's part of the spring menu, but, like, no meat.
No meat. So if you want to come in, I mean, other than we can omit the dehydrated chicken skin, we do it on our vegetarian dishes. It's something that if you eat eggs, you can certainly... eat it as a vegetarian. Removing the eggs is a little bit difficult for flavor-wise to make it vegan, but we also do that at the restaurant. So these are the pea tips, and we use these in a lot of different things, but they just have like a great fresh flavor that you're adding in.
Now, they're easy to find?
You'd have to go to an Asian market for those. You're not going to find those at your typical Publix, but I mean, this looks so fantastic. It's got a nice shine to it. That cold rice, everything's separated.
You want some?
Sure.
Walk me through what you're tasting.
It's like a very bright, it has a little bit of acidity to it, so when you have this much fat in a dish, this much richness, you need something to cut through it. Yeah. So it's awesome. What do you get?
I'm getting all of what you're just describing there, and I'm getting just this, there's this earthy greenness behind it, but not like it's earthy soil green, you know what I mean? Where sometimes you can have that, but it just has that nice little bit that Kind of just coats the palate right now.
Awesome. So it looks great.
Very good.
Awesome. It's ready to go.
Fantastic. All right. So now we also have this Kung Pao here.
We make our own chili oil and call it Chili Crunch. You can make this at home.
How do you make it at home then? What's going on?
The basis is just to find the Chinese dried chilies, heat up maybe some scallion oil, and then just scorch it.
Okay.
Right? Then also you can add star anise, some cinnamon, some cardamom, some clove, and then add those aromatics to it and add another element of flavor. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to pour a little bit. We want to grab some of the crunchy part on the bottom, and I don't know how spicy you like it. But
I'm ready. I'm following your lead, and I know that you like a little bit of a kick here, so
I do.
I'm good with it. Let's go.
So we do about double the amount of ginger that we're going to put in for the garlic. So
okay.
I like this dish. We already have a little bit of garlic there, so. And then this is simple. I don't want this too hot because I definitely want, I don't want to like char the garlic. I don't want it to become bitter. I almost want it a bit on the raw side.
Okay.
So that, and then now we add our asparagus, and this is where you make Kung Pao. This is when you would add your chicken. And you just want to coat it now. And I'm cooking it softly because the asparagus is already cooked. If you want to cook this from raw and you like raw asparagus, you could also do that and it'll still be really crispy on the inside. I wouldn't do it, but if you want to do that, you can if you're on like sort of a raw diet.
Okay.
But that looks good to me. Everything's coated and it's ready to start to season it.
I love it. One dish down, another in progress, and while our green asparagus Kung Pao cooks,
you know, some green onion to that. And what we're doing here is we're creating a hot and sour dish. And then you have a little bit of sweetness, you have the little bit of saltiness, and it's a really balanced Asian dish. So,
and that's the juxtaposition that you'll find sometimes in Asian cuisine. It's always going to be having some kind of hot and sour, or it's going to be this to that.
Sweet and sour, hot and sour. So you always have to have the balance between hot, sour, you know, salty, pungent, umami. All of those elements have to be in, and that's what I do at the restaurant. I just make sure that all of those bases are covered. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add these little, they're called lantern chilies. I'm going to take a look at that.
Okay.
I want to bite into that. It's super hot.
Super hot, so don't go into it.
It's like a habanero, I guess. Here we, you know, just put them in there. They're really what happens in the wok in the restaurant. What they do is they get scorched and the oils start to come out of them, so you get the flavor of those. And now we add the peanuts, which is a little bit of salty and spicy if you want to.
And what type of peanuts are these? Like, what's going on with these?
This is a raw peanut that we buy. It's actually a Georgia peanut, and then we fry it. And then I add the chili oil to it and all of my spice blends from my rack. And I make my own. And that's the hallmark of Kung Pao, is having the peanuts in it.
Now, real talk, you a baseball guy?
Yeah, I enjoy baseball.
Like, I just want to watch a baseball game.
Right, there you go.
Right now, the entire time. Wow, what a flavor.
Yes, they're awesome. So you can eat them by yourself, have a nice beer, or you can add them in your Kung Pao. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to add a little bit of the sour element. Okay. This is black fermented rice vinegar. Okay. So, and then I balance that out with a little bit of sugar. Okay, just to kind of stir it up. And at home, you know, when you have a little bit higher heat, you want to like hit it on the edge of it so it's sort of almost like deglazing the pan with it. But this is, for our purposes here, we're pretty good. And
now, with that black vinegar, is that something easy to find at the grocery store?
You're going to definitely have to go to an Asian market.
Asian market for that one, for sure.
Yeah, that specializes in Chinese products. Okay. You won't find that everywhere. But now you smell that. You smell the chili. And
what's the difference in taste and the flavor for that one there? Like, what are you tasting for with having black vinegar?
You know, it has like an acidity that I like that is very mild. Okay. So like a red wine vinegar has a little higher acid. White wine is more almost alcoholic, and this one has a very subtle, smooth, almost like a balsamic in Italy compared to a red wine vinegar. Interesting. Okay. So, and then I'm going to add a little bit of my spice just to add some more salt to it. So yeah.
Let's pass that black vinegar. Now I'm intrigued by this. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Where it is that kind of like more mellow, kind of just a little bit more muted, but still has all of that bite that you want.
Right.
Okay.
Awesome.
To grab Chef Richard's recipes for these beautiful dishes, they're at dinnerdeas.com. Just scan the QR code to find your way there right now.
So the last thing we do is stick your finger in there and just taste that numbing oil. We're just going to add a little bit of numbing oil to the top. So when in Sichuan cuisine you have ma la. Ma is numbing and la is spicy. So it's like numbing and spicy. And just me talking about it, my mouth is salivating. But it screams spring, you know. When you eat vegetables during their season, they're just so much better. We do a lot of stuff to the vegetable, but you don't have to. They're so good.
I love it. I love it. Can I get some of this spring fried rice on your plate for you?
Oh, yeah. Well,
there we go. Yeah, this looks really good. All right. We got the Kung Pao here. It's so colorful. I mean, yes, the ingredients absolutely just spring to mind. No pun intended there. Spring. But it's just absolutely just so vivid. The colors just kind of pop on the plate for it.
I mean, it's what I love about the Chinese recipes, where I can, you know, be unique at Hales Black Brick, where I can mix these sort of seasonal things in that you don't typically see on those menus that say 101 dishes that they're true chef specialties.
Mm-hmm. And it gives you the variety to have fun and to just expose others to new ways to incorporate tradition and culture, but ingredients that you won't see traditionally in a fried rice. Or in this case with the Kung Pao, which is out of this world. It's got the flavor, and you hit it with more of that numbing oil too, just before we came back, and wow, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, you'll never know the Christmas Day enjoyment of having your first wok. When I walked into the kitchen and I had my brand new wok station there, I almost shed a tear. I'll be honest with you.
Really?
It's just so much fun to cook on a wok. It's an amazing tool. So 700 degrees, scorches everything. You can easily burn things, but once you master it, it's wonderful.
Now you've mastered this dish. Now I've got my opinion on it. So walk me through what you're feeling with this dish.
I think it's really nice to have an alternative to somewhere in between an egg fried rice and then like a young chow fried rice where it's full of meat. It's somewhere in between. It's not the most powerful fried rice, but then when you have something like this right next to it and you're eating at the same time, the numbing oil, the chilies, the saltiness of this, the richness of that, you know, the fat that's in there with the eggs, I think it's a nice balance. And that's what you want to do when you're eating Chinese food. You want to curate it. You don't want everything sweet and everything fried. You want some steamed items, some sour items, some hot items, some salty items.
And what I'm also tasting here is almost a cooling item. I got just a big bite of mint.
Right.
And it's such a celebrated ingredient to that dish to have that whole, going back, the juxtaposition of flavors that are happening here.
Right. And then little nuttiness from the peanuts, and it's just a nice little surprises in your mouth. It's very interesting cuisine.
Totally it is. Now, on your many appearances on Food Network, but he's also the mystery customer for your car? Like,
right. I did get blackmailed by him. He said he held the keys of my '64 Cadillac in his hands.
Look at that
and he
beauty.
said, "How many minutes do you want on the Food Network?" And he ended up buying that car that day. And he has made good on his promise. I have been on the Food Network more than most, so I really appreciate that. But he's an amazing person. He's a godfather of my kids. He's always taken care of us. So, you know, we really love the guy.
That's awesome. I mean, I hear such wonderful things about him, and you just see what he does for small businesses. You know that he has a passion for the industry. He has a passion for his craft, and he has a passion for good people that make that part of his, you know.
Yeah, he has Guy Fieri's foundation where he just goes, any disaster, any issues, he helps small businesses. It's an amazing organization that he recently started, but prior to that, even for COVID, he raised $25 million. He is a great person.
He's the real deal. That's awesome. And you, my friend, are the real deal.